Hey guys, and welcome back to another lesson in Algebra 1. Today's lesson is Unit 5, Lesson 11. It is Intro into Linear Inequalities. And so this is a different type of equation where we're going to have our inequality symbol. And so how you know if you are successful today is the first part is I can identify if an ordered pair is a solution to an inequality. And then I can convert an inequality into slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and get started with this and take some notes. All right. So what you're going to be doing in this lesson is you're going to be testing points to see if something is a solution to the inequality. And so how we test if something is a solution to the inequality is that we're going to plug the point in the inequality. And if it makes a true statement, it is a solution. And if it makes a false statement, it is not a solution. And so you would remember this from earlier when we would be testing to see if something is has one solution, no solutions, or infinitely many solutions. So to remind you, if it's a true statement, you're going to end up solving this and you'll end up with something like -5 is less than or equal to -5. Okay, so it can be equal to each other. So this is a true statement. So this is a solution. If it's not a solution, you'll end up with something that doesn't make any sense, like 5 is less than or equal to, or, we can put an equal sign, less than or equal to -1. So you'll end up with something that is obviously not true. And so therefore it is not a solution. So let's see, how this works out when we go and solve some problems. Let's fill out the second part here. It says how to convert an inequality to slope-intercept. What you're going to do is you're going to solve the inequality for y. It's just like how you've been doing it, converting between the different linear equations before now. However, because it's an inequality, we do have a little bit that we've got to remember, which is don't forget, flip the inequality sign if you are multiplying. I guess we can just say multiply. Let's see, if you multiply or divide by a negative. Okay. And to remind us about inequalities, we can have greater than and less than, and we can have greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. Okay. So those are our four choices, that happen in these kinds of problems. And so all today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be testing ordered pairs to see if it's a solution. Okay, if I am going too fast, be sure and pause it. I'm going to erase it. I do want to point out that this sloth is reminding you that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you've got to flip the sign. So don't forget that little tidbit. All right, I'm going to clear my stuff. And let's scroll on down to a problem. So it says, let's see, is this a solution to this? Okay, so how we know it's a solution is we're going to plug that in. So let me clear this out real fast. Okay, so don't forget that when we write our points, we write it in X, y format. So, that 2 is my x and that -3 is my y. I'm just going to write my inequality over again because I don't know, there's just something about it where it helps me kind of focus and think, okay, what are all the components here? So here's my inequality. I'm going to take this y and I'm going to plop it in here. And I'm going to take oops, I said x. And then I'm going to put my y over here. So my x is 2. My y, I'm not going to forget that -3, is going to be this 2 times -3 is less than -4. Okay, so let's do a little bit of algebra. We got 2 plus 2 times -3 is going to be -6. Right? 2 plus a -6, so that's really like saying 2 minus 6, right? Is going to be -4 less than or equal to -4. Well, this is -4 is equal to -4, so this is a true statement. Okay, so yes, this is a solution. Okay, here was my thing. All right, let's look at this next one. We have, is 5, 1 a solution to y is greater than 3x minus 10? I'm going to write my equation over again because, like I said, it just kind of helps me focus in on what's going on. My x, I'm just going to plug in here, and my y, I'm going to plug in over here. So my y is 1 less than 3 times x. That's going to be 3 times 5 minus 10. All right, so 1 is greater than 3 times 5 is 15 minus 10. And I have 1 is less than 15 minus 10 is 5. Well, 1 is definitely not greater than 5. So this is a false statement, right? It's not accurate. So this is, not a solution. All right, let's look at this next one. It says, is -4 or -1 4 a solution to 2x minus y is greater than or equal to -6? So again, I'm just going to write my equation over again. It makes me happy. Okay, so I'm going to take my -1 and plug it in for this x minus my y is 4 less than or equal to -6. So 2 times -1 is -2 minus 4. And so -2 minus 4 is -6 greater than or equal to -6. This is a true statement. So this is a solution. Yay. All right. This one, it's not asking us to decide if it is a solution. It is just straight out asking us to convert to slope-intercept. We can do that. Remember, slope-intercept is written as y equals mx plus b. Well, this one has a less than sign. We can do it that way, okay? We can do like y is less than mx plus b, but it could flip depending on what happens. So we'll just say this spot is going to be your inequality, whatever it is right here. Okay, so let's go solve this and you'll see what I mean. So we're looking for the y to be on the left-hand side and the mx plus b to be on the right. Okay, so I've got 4x minus y is less than 8. I'm going to move my 4x over because, right, like it's on the right-hand side. I've got to get it over here. That cancels. I've got negative y is less than -4x plus 8. We cannot have that negative sign. Okay, we cannot, just like when, we were doing regular, slope-intercept, we can't have this negative here. We've got to get rid of it. And so to get rid of it, it is going to make us do some stuff. We can divide by -1. Let's see if I can actually go ahead and move this down some. Let's see. Never mind. I can't really move it down any without it doing weird stuff. All right. So we're going to divide by -1. And this negative is going to go away, but it's going to flip my sign. So my y, it's not going to be this sign anymore. We divided by a negative. It's going to go this away. -4 divided by -1 is 4x. +8 divided by -1 is -8. Okay. So that is that standard form converted to slope-intercept, but we had to remember that dividing by a negative is going to flip your inequality, just like when we messed with inequalities, earlier in the semester. Okay, I am going to erase this if I'm going too fast. Just pause it. Let's go to these last two. So again, it's asking us to convert to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to do this. It's got -6x plus 3y is greater than or less than 9. Remember, slope-intercept is going to be something like this. Okay, it's going to have some sort of symbol right here, but we got to have our y on one side by itself. So I'm going to move this over. This cancels. I've got 3y greater than or equal to 6x plus 9. I can't leave that 3 in front of my y. I've got to get my y to only have a coefficient of 1. So I'm going to divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. So there's 3 terms in these. You've got to divide all 3 terms by that number. That cancels. We got y. We didn't divide by a negative this time, so we get to leave our inequality as it was. 6x divided by 3 is 2x, plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and do our last one. So we're going to convert to slope-intercept form again. -3y is greater than 6x minus 12. Well, fortunately, the x is already on the right-hand side. That's good news for us. The bad news is that it's a negative. Okay, so when we divide by a negative, that inequality, we're going to have to flip it so that it divides, or that cancels out. We write down our y. I'm going to take that and I'm going to flip it. It's a less than. 6x divided by -3 is -2. -12 divided by -3 is a +4. And there you go. And so that is the end of the notes today. And so you do have your practice problems. Until next time, guys. Bye.